There is a hidden power that lies dormant in the average man, not because it is absent, but because it is buried beneath layers of noise, distraction, and blind conformity. This power is known as definiteness of purpose. The man who discovers it, holds it, and feeds it daily becomes a living magnet to opportunity, wealth, influence, and peace. But understand this. The world does not reward the man who merely desires. It rewards the man who decides. Purpose is not just setting goals. It is not merely writing ambitions on a vision board and waiting for the wind to carry them into reality. No. Purpose is a decision, a firm, unmoving, unshakable commitment to a mission that burns in the soul and drives the man to rise while others sleep, to work while others waste time, and to speak life into his vision long before the world believes it possible. And here lies the uncommon truth. Often, the greatest clarity of purpose is not found in noise, but in silence. Not in motion, but in stillness. Not in applause, but in solitude. Modern man is addicted to distraction. He cannot hear his own thoughts without the crutch of constant stimulation. He fills his schedule, checks his phone, follows the crowd, and forgets the single question that determines the direction of his entire life. What was I born to do? The man who seeks definiteness of purpose must do what the crowd fears. He must withdraw. Not forever, but long enough to think deeply, long enough to question everything he was told to believe, long enough to silence the voices of the world so he can finally hear the whisper of his own destiny. There is value in boredom. There is clarity in isolation. There is vision in the wilderness, when the mind is removed from the urgency of daily demands and brought into a state of focused reflection. The truth begins to rise to the surface. A man begins to remember what once stirred his heart as a child. He begins to reconnect with the thing that made him feel most alive before the world told him to be realistic. From that place, purpose is born, not as a borrowed idea, but as an inner revelation. But purpose is not enough. It must be definite. The man must write it, speak it, declare it, and build his life around it. A vague wish inspires no action. A fuzzy dream attracts no help. But a definite purpose, a burning mission, expressed with conviction, sets the universe in motion. It draws people, resources, timing, and ideas like a magnet. Men without purpose drift. Men with definite purpose build. The unconventional path to finding this purpose often begins with a contradiction. Stop moving. Stop chasing every opportunity. Stop saying yes to every demand. The successful man does less, but he does it with direction. He is not the busiest man, but he is the most intentional. He wastes no time proving his worth to others. He is building something greater than appearances. He is building destiny. The tragedy of most men is not that they aim too high and miss, but that they aim too low and hit. They fear committing to one purpose, thinking it limits them. But purpose does not confine. It focuses. And with focus, energy multiplies. Doors open. The fog lifts. Time bends in your favor. A man on purpose is 10 times more powerful than a man chasing trends. Let this be the charge to every man or woman who seeks growth in life or work. Go against the grain. Turn down the volume of the world. Enter the silence. Ask yourself the hard questions. What would I do if I had no fear? What truth have I been avoiding? What legacy burns inside me demanding to be born? And once you find it, hold it with both hands. Declare it to the heavens. Build your life in its service. For the man with definiteness of purpose becomes unstoppable, not because life makes it easy, but because he makes himself unbreakable. There are two kinds of power in this world, the kind that commands others and the kind that commands oneself. The former is fleeting, the latter is eternal. The man who seeks to lead others but has not yet mastered himself is like a ship without a rudder, doomed to drift, no matter how mighty the sails. True greatness does not begin with the conquering of lands, markets, or crowds. It begins with the conquering of self. Self-mastery is not a lesson taught in schools. It is not a subject you can download, nor a book you can skim for quick results. It is a daily war, a battle between the higher self and the lower appetites. The man who wins this war consistently is the man the world eventually bows to. For while others are ruled by emotion, impulse, fear, or laziness, he is ruled by principle, vision, and control. He is a king within, long before he is crowned without. To master oneself is to take full responsibility for every thought, every action, every result. There is no blame, there are no excuses. The man on this path does not say, "The world is unfair," or "They won't let me succeed." He says, "I will succeed despite the world." He does not pray for a lighter load. He builds a stronger back. He does not ask for easy paths. He sharpens his feet for rough terrain. And in this decision to govern himself first, he steps into rare air, the altitude where the uncommon dwell. The mind left undirected is a dangerous servant. It can justify failure, disguise weakness as humility, and wrap procrastination in the language of patience. The man who masters himself speaks truth to his own mind. He exposes his excuses. He laughs at his own rationalizations. He disciplines his thoughts as a general disciplines his soldiers. No rebellion is tolerated. No weakness is coddled. For he knows that every thought repeated becomes a belief, and every belief reinforced becomes a destiny. Emotion, too, must be mastered, not suppressed. The man of growth does not become cold, he becomes calm. He does not deny feeling, he directs it. Anger becomes fuel. Pain becomes purpose. Rejection becomes refinement. Fear becomes the bell that signals it is time to advance. He does not run from discomfort, he runs into it, because he knows that the fire that burns is the same fire that forges. Even his words are subject to discipline. He speaks not to impress, but to express truth. He speaks life into his dreams, encouragement into others, and silence into gossip. The man who controls his tongue, his tone, and his timing commands respect, whether he seeks it or not. For his words are not many, they are meaningful. His voice carries the weight of thought, not the noise of reaction. This level of mastery cannot be bought, it cannot be inherited. It is forged in solitude, carved by struggle, and sharpened by failure. The man who masters himself does not wait for permission. He rises early when no one is watching. He works while others sleep. He reads when others are entertained. He practices when others rest. His habits are not dictated by mood. His standards are not negotiable. He has become his own coach, his own critic, and his own motivator. Do not be deceived by the man who boasts of controlling others. Look instead to the man who controls himself when insulted, who chooses action when discouraged, who chooses silence when attacked, and who chooses faith when afraid. For he alone holds the keys to lasting power. You may not control the economy. You may not control the opinions of others. You may not control every door that opens or closes. But if you can control yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions, you hold the one power that unlocks all others. The man who masters himself cannot be conquered, for he carries his kingdom within him. Adversity is the anvil upon which every truly great soul is forged. While the masses curse hardship, the wise man greets it like an old friend. He does not run from it, nor does he seek to avoid it at all costs. Instead, he studies it. He listens to it. He leans into it, for he knows a truth that most overlook. Adversity is not the enemy of progress. It is the architect of strength, the designer of destiny. Every setback carries with it a seed, a spark, a blueprint, an invisible code embedded deep within the pain that, if understood and acted upon, unlocks greater growth than any comfort ever could. The man who walks the easy road gains little. His muscles do not develop. His mind remains soft. His spirit becomes complacent. But the man who is broken, challenged, stretched, and tested, he becomes something altogether different. He becomes forged. Most men fear failure. They treat it as shame, as proof that they were not good enough, not smart enough, not lucky enough. But failure is not a verdict, it is a message. It speaks clearly to those willing to listen. Adjust your course, sharpen your tools, strengthen your character. The man who learns from adversity multiplies in wisdom. The man who hides from it repeats the same cycle, dressed in new clothes. Understand this. Adversity is personalized. It does not come randomly. It does not visit without reason. Each man faces the challenge that is most perfectly designed to expose his current limitations, and in that exposure lies opportunity. You do not grow by accident. You grow by confronting that which reveals your weakness. Life will present you with the exact resistance you need to become the person you are destined to be. The man who resists this truth delays his rise. The man who embraces it accelerates his becoming. You must change your relationship with pain. Most view it as punishment. But to the awakened, it is instruction. When life presses you, it is not trying to destroy you. It is trying to reveal you. The diamond is not formed in comfort. The warrior is not trained in peace. The mind is not sharpened in safety. All that is great has been produced in the fire, and you too must pass through your fire. Every successful man can point to a moment of crisis that could have broken him. But instead of folding, he made a choice. He chose to rise. He chose to believe. He chose to act in the face of fear, not the absence of it. And in doing so, he built something invisible within, something the world would later recognize as power, but which he knew as perseverance. You cannot buy this. You cannot fake this. You must earn it. When trouble comes, and it will, you must train your mind to ask not why me, but what is this here to teach me? That one question turns victims into victors. That one question transforms breakdowns into breakthroughs. If you learn to interpret every hardship as a lesson, every rejection as redirection, and every loss as refinement, you will become immune to defeat. Not because you will never fall, but because you will always rise higher than before. Adversity does not destroy, it distinguishes. It separates the committed from the curious, the builders from the bystanders, the champions from the comfortable. It comes to ask you, how bad do you want it? Will you keep going when it hurts? Will you believe when no evidence says you should? Will you act when doubt surrounds you? If your answer is yes, consistently, repeatedly, defiantly, then nothing can stop you. For adversity bows before the man who refuses to bow before it. And so I say, welcome the challenge. Embrace the struggle. Walk into the storm with your head high and your heart steady. For it is not the easy days that define a man, but the hard ones. And when you rise on the other side, stronger, wiser, unshakable, you will know that adversity was not your enemy. It was your awakening. There are powers available to every man and woman that lie beyond the grasp of logic, beyond the reach of textbooks, and far beyond the realm of conventional understanding. These powers cannot be measured with rulers nor weighed on scales. They are unseen forces, intuition, energy, mental frequency that shape our lives with greater certainty than most dare to admit. The man who learns to harness these invisible tools does not merely react to life, he begins to create it. The average person ignores the subtle voice within. He is too busy with noise, too distracted by the world, too enslaved to the senses. But buried deep within every individual is a guiding compass, a whisper that speaks not in panic, but in peace. That whisper is called intuition. It is not emotion. It is not impulse. It is a higher faculty, a sacred alert system, offering wisdom without explanation. The man who learns to listen to it and trust it finds that it rarely leads him astray. It is your link to something greater than logic, a knowing that transcends the mind and moves from the soul. When you act in alignment with your intuition, you enter into flow. Opportunities appear where there once were none. Coincidences, if they can still be called that, begin to pile up. Right people arrive at the right time. Closed doors swing open. Why? Because you are no longer moving at random. You are now transmitting a frequency that aligns with your deepest truth. And make no mistake, thought is a frequency. It is a vibration. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. Your thoughts are not idle. Every thought you think carries with it a vibration, a signal broadcasted into the unseen. You may not see it, but you live with its consequences. A man consumed by fear and doubt walks into every room already defeated. His energy repels opportunity. But the man who thinks in faith, in strength, in victory, he becomes a magnet. Even before he speaks, his presence announces his belief. The world bends toward him because he has first bent his mind toward what he seeks. You must begin to treat your thoughts as sacred. Guard them as you would your most prized possession, for they are the architects of your life. If you allow doubt to linger, it will rot your resolve. If you entertain fear, it will grow into paralysis. But if you deliberately feed your mind with vision, with belief, with power, your actions will rise to meet that standard. Your body will follow your mind. Your results will follow your energy. Energy is not some abstract concept. It is real. You can feel it when you walk into a room. You can sense it in a handshake, hear it in a tone, see it in the eyes. The man who has mastered his energy, who is calm, focused, assured, requires no title to command attention. He moves with intention, and the world feels it. This energy is cultivated. It is the result of inner harmony, discipline, and deep alignment between thought, word, and deed. You must become intentional with your mental frequency. Begin each day by directing your mind, not just wandering into thought, but choosing it. Declare who you are. Visualize where you are going. Speak as if it is already yours. This is not fantasy. This is mental conditioning. Just as the body grows by repetition, so does the mind. And repetition of belief becomes identity. The greatest minds in history were not merely men of action. They were men of vision. They saw what did not yet exist, and they believed in it so fully that the world eventually caught up. You have the same capacity. Tune your mind to the frequency of the life you desire. Speak it, think it, feel it, and then act in harmony with it. When you do, you no longer chase success, it finds you. There is a form of wealth that cannot be seen, touched, or spent. Yet it is the very foundation upon which all visible success is built. It is called invisible capital. And while the world busies itself chasing money, titles, and recognition, the wise man knows true prosperity is first built in silence. It is earned long before it is noticed, and when cultivated properly, it begins to work on your behalf even while you sleep. Invisible capital is the reputation you build when no one is watching. It is the discipline you forge in private, the ideas you refine in solitude, the habits you sustain without applause. It is the strength of character developed in moments of restraint, the patience cultivated when the results delay, and the faith maintained when logic screams otherwise. Most men will never possess this kind of wealth. not because they are incapable, but because they are unwilling to labor in the dark. Every great monument is built upon a foundation no one sees. So too is every great life. You must begin to value the things that do not immediately pay off. You must sow where there is no applause, speak truth where there is no echo, and persist in silence when encouragement is absent. This is not weakness. This is power under construction. The man who does this becomes a force of nature, immovable and inevitable. Your consistency is capital. Your discipline is capital. Your resilience is capital. Your word, when kept, is capital. Your ability to keep moving forward when the reward is not visible is the very currency with which destiny is purchased. You may not yet see the results, but results are never the first sign of growth. The roots grow before the fruit appears, and so it is with your life. Everything you are building in silence is preparing to bloom in time. Do not underestimate the power of your reputation, for it travels farther than you do. It speaks in rooms you have not yet entered. While others are busy trying to impress today, the wise man builds a life so strong in character that his name becomes a key, opening doors he has not even knocked on. But this kind of influence is not created overnight. It is the slow accumulation of trust, proof, and integrity, one right decision at a time. Invest daily in the invisible. Read what others ignore. Study when others sleep. Practice when others post. Reflect when others rush. These simple, consistent acts of internal refinement may go unnoticed now, but they compound. They grow, and one day they reveal their interest in the form of undeniable presence, unstoppable momentum, and effortless command. Do not chase the external. Build the internal until it is so strong that the external must respond. The man who becomes valuable cannot be ignored. He does not need to beg for opportunity. Opportunity comes to him. He has become the opportunity. That is the reward of invisible capital. It multiplies in silence and delivers in force. Every conversation you have where you listen more than you speak, capital. Every morning you rise to refine your craft, capital. Every moment you resist distraction to do what matters, capital. Every promise you keep, even when inconvenient, capital. These are the bricks that build a life of true wealth. Most are looking for the shortcut. They want the prize without the process. But you, if you are wise, will commit to the long game. You will plant seeds with patience, water them with effort, and guard them with focus. For the harvest that lasts is always slow to grow, but when it arrives, it stays. And the man who built invisible capital becomes unshakable, because his roots run too deep to be moved.